Ukrainian forces have almost completely liberated southeastern Dnipropetrovsk region, a senior Ukrainian military official said Tuesday. Almost the entire territory of the Dnipropetrovsk region has been liberated. It remains to finalize 3 small settlements and 2 more to clean up. Thanks to these active actions in February, we have a positive trend. More territory has been liberated than lost, head of the main operational directorate of the General Staff, Major General Alexander Komarenko, told local media. He stated that during the counteroffensive, the defense forces succeeded in reclaiming over 400 square kilometers of land. Komarenko added that forces also secured a somewhat smaller nearby area, where the rear zone had been cleared of occupying troops who had managed to penetrate it. He further said that Russian forces were preparing and advancing an offensive toward the Dnipropetrovsk region. Their leadership constantly says that they need the entire Donbass and the buffer zone. Their goal was to create a buffer zone in the Dnipropetrovsk region. This was their plan, Komarenko said. On March 9th, the commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces, Alexander Syrsky, stated that the counteroffensive in the Alexandrovsk direction, located at the intersection of the Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Dnipropetrovsk regions, is still ongoing. Since the start of the operation, Ukrainian forces have regained control of more than 400 square kilometers of territory. Earlier, on February 19th, Vladislav Voloshin, spokesperson for Ukraine's Southern Defense Forces, said that Ukrainian troops are shrinking the so-called gray zone in the south and blocking Russian occupation forces from pushing deeper into Ukrainian territory. He also rejected Russian claims that their forces had captured Krynichne in eastern Zaporizhia region, calling those statements false. On February 20th, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced that Ukrainian troops had retaken about 300 square kilometers of territory in southern Ukraine during a series of counterattacking assault operations. 2 days later, on February 22nd, the air assault forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported the start of an operation in the Alexandrovsk direction. According to the air assault forces, the units involved have several key objectives: to thwart Russian plans for further advances in the Dnipropetrovsk and Zaporizhia regions, to defeat the enemy troop grouping operating there, and to push Russian forces back beyond the administrative boundary of the Dnipropetrovsk region.
A unit of the Ukrainian Armed Forces air assault troops detected an area where Russian occupying forces had concentrated personnel and military vehicles in the direction of the Oleksandrivka district of the Donetsk region and carried out missile strikes on the site. Information and footage of the operation were released by the command of the air assault troops. The strikes targeted Russian soldiers and equipment gathered near one of the settlements under occupation. As seen in the released footage, after the first strike, Russian servicemen attempted to flee, abandoning their damaged vehicles. However, a series of precise follow-up strikes prevented them from escaping. As a result of the successful operation, at least 10 soldiers of the occupying Russian army were eliminated, along with 2 military vehicles. In addition, 3 quad bikes used to transport personnel and military supplies to the area were destroyed. The operation thwarted another attempt by the occupying forces to advance. Ukraine has shared the video footage capturing the aftermath of Atom's and Scalp/Storm Shadow strike on the Russian Shahed storage and launch site at the Donetsk International Airport. The facility was struck on the night leading to March 7. Video captures the moment of strikes, followed by powerful explosions and thick plume of black smoke as the facility is fully destroyed. The operation involved a U.S.-supplied Atom's short-range ballistic missile and a French Scalp air-launched long-range cruise missile. In a statement from the General Staff's press service, the attack was described as a coordinated effort by units from the missile forces and artillery of the Ukrainian ground forces working in cooperation with aircraft from the Ukrainian Air Force. The strike triggered a major blaze at the site, followed by a series of secondary explosions. Footage released from the operation shows precision munitions hitting the target, after which large blasts and thick clouds of smoke rise from the area. As part of broader efforts to degrade the combat capabilities of Russian forces, Ukrainian units also carried out several additional strikes on March 6 and overnight into March 7. Among the targets was a Russian drone control center located near the settlement of Dnipropetrovsk in the eastern part of Luhansk region, as well as a command and observation post positioned near Krylyakivka in Kharkiv region.